Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to The Mind's Eye. Thank you all for tuning in. Tonight, I want to rank the studio albums from one of my favorite bands, the Goo Goo Dolls. They got their start in the late 80s playing kind of underground punk music. They evolved into the sort of commercial pop rock or acoustic rock band that most people know them by. Proceeded to turn into a pop band throughout most of the last decade. And I want to rank all of these studio albums from my least favorite to my favorite. So jumping right into this, coming in the bottom, and I forgot the exact number. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13. I just want to make sure I got that number right. Starting at the bottom, number 13, the one and only Goo Goo Dolls album that I don't own, which is Miracle Pill, released in 2019. I've never cared for this album. I don't really think this is a good album at all. It's very minimalist. I mean, the music is just so light and almost not there. Like, it's so hard to notice at times. Tracks like the album opener kind of feels like the most generic contemporary Christian song that you could possibly think of. Tracks like the title track, Miracle Pill, kind of had the makings of a decent Goo Goo Doll song, but the fact that the music behind it was just kind of like this piano note that kept getting played, bum, 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 is like just so annoying. Throw some acoustic guitar behind that song, and if it was like more of a classic style Goo Goo Doll song, I could almost see myself liking it, but you have to go all the way to the 7th track on the album, which is Lights, before you get to a song that I actually like. And I love Johnny's vocal performance on that song. Again, like, musically, it's just very kind of in the background, but I do love the emotion that Johnny sings that song with. I also like Autumn Leaves for pretty much the same reasons. And Robbie's one standout track to me is Life is a Message, which is probably, to me, the most complete sounding song on the whole album. But all in all, Miracle Pill, I do want to pick it up one of these days, because I'm a completist. I like to own every album by bands I love, especially bands I love as much as the Goo Goo Dolls. But I'm kind of waiting to find Miracle Pill like in a $3 bin somewhere or something. I can't see myself going out and paying full price for it, because I just don't care for it that much. Coming in at number 12, I don't have the physical copy, because it's the only album in my entire collection that I bought digitally. So I own the music digitally. I just don't have like the album art or anything like that to show here, and that being the very first Goo Goo Dolls album, the self-titled debut from, I believe, 1987. And it's one of the underground indie punk rock albums that they did back in the 80s. It's very raw, it's very energetic, but it's also very simplistic as well. But that being said, I mean, Robbie sings every song on the album, which I'm totally cool with, because I love Robbie's voice. I love him. I just kind of love the energy that he brings as a singer. I love tracks like Living in a Hut, I'm Addicted, even like some of the covers, like the Blue Oyster Cult cover. I don't know why I'm on the spot now, so like now I can't think of the title. Don't Fear the Reaper, stuff like that. I do enjoy. It's doesn't compare to the original, but it's still fun, and that's kind of what the album is. It's fun, it's energetic, it's kind of a good time, especially if you're more into punk than I am. But for me, it's got to come in at the bottom, because it's not really what I look for in the Goo Goo Dolls. I just think they have so much better material that the self-titled debut just kind of has to come in towards the bottom. But it is a lot more fun of a listen than Miracle Pill, which I kind of feel like Goo Goo Dolls come 2019 don't really have an excuse to put out an album as bad as Miracle Pill. So yeah, moving on. Number 11, I'm gonna go with Jed, the other one of their like real punky albums. This one to me has a few more standout tracks than the debut album does, like Out of Sight. Johnny's first song as a vocalist with Up Yours I like a lot. The Down on the Corner cover I dig, Had Enough, Road to Salinas, Artie. So there's a few more tracks on here that kind of jump out at me than on the first one. This is very raw, punky, fairly simplistic. I saw quote, and I don't remember if it was Johnny or Robbie that said it, but they basically said on these first two albums, it was basically just them being as loud and obnoxious as they possibly could be. And that Hold Me Up, which I'll get to later, is kind of really their first true studio album, and in many ways they kind of think of that as their actual debut album. And that's the album where they really start to kind of improve their songwriting and step out of that sort of punky comfort zone that they had and start pushing themselves. But I'll get to that album in a little bit. So number 11 is Jed. Number 10, I'm going to go with Magnetic. I was never a terribly huge fan of this album, but compared to Jed, I would say that the handful of tracks that I do like on here, I like so much that I'll take this one over those first two albums. That being Rebel Beat, which is a fun, catchy single. Slow It Down, I've always kind of liked. And then Robbie's two tracks probably are my two favorite songs on the album, Bringing on the Light and Happiest of Days. Beyond that, I could never get into the rest of this album. And it was kind of surprising because when this album was released, there really was no Johnny Resnick track in the entire catalog I didn't like. So the fact that he only put two songs on this album that I could get into really shocked me. But I've never been able to get into Caught in the Storm. Come to Me does nothing for me. More of You I don't really like at all. Bulletproof Angel and Last Hot Night I don't really like. So it's just a lot of misses for Johnny, which really surprised me on this one. Like I said, I really dig Robbie's two songs, and those two Johnny tracks that I really love. So for that reason, I'm going to put it over the self-title and Jed. But ultimately, this is, again, not really one of my favorite Goo Goo Dolls albums. So Magnetic's going to come in at number 10. Number 9, we have Boxes, released in 2016. The Goo Goo Dolls continuing to head in a popular direction. On this album, it really kind of feels like the music is no longer based around the acoustic guitar. And that is unfortunate because I really think that's where the Goo Goo Dolls' bread and butter is. And if I'm being honest, two of my least favorite Goo Goo Dolls songs of all time are on this album, that being Flood and So Alive. I don't really like either one of those songs. But I think that they're, as I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the Goo Goo Dolls because I love Johnny Resnick as a songwriter and Robbie Takak. I think they're both great songwriters, and they do provide some really good songs on here, like Over and Over I do like, The Pin, Boxes. Reverse kind of grew on me over the years. Lucky One, even as kind of poppy as those songs are, I think are still fairly catchy tracks. Robbie has Free of Me and Prayer in My Pocket. Not amongst his better tracks in the Goo Goo Dolls discography, but they're okay. But the one real big standout to me on this album is Soul in the Machine, which is my favorite Goo Goo Dolls song favorite Goo Goo Dolls song of the 2010s, and it's not even close. I think that song is just absolutely incredible. Love that track to death. It's the only track that they put out in the 2010s that even sniffs their older material. So for that reason, I'm going to bring Boxes up to number 9, even though I don't really care for the direction of this album, nor do I really care for the sound. It kind of has almost like a watery type of a sound to it. I don't know how better to explain it than that. I don't really care for that. But like I said, Soul in the Machine really picks this album up quite a bit. And finally, we're kind of getting through these bottom tier of albums, so I can actually start talking about what I love about this band instead of complaining about the stuff that I don't care for. So coming in at number 8, we have Hold Me Up, released in 1990, the band's third album. And like I said, I don't remember if it was Johnny or Robbie that said it, but I remember reading somewhere that they kind of view this album as their true debut. And I think it was Johnny that said that this is the album that they realized that, oh, we can actually kind of start playing with melodies here, which is just kind of the way Johnny said it. It made me laugh. But songs like So Out of Line, I think, is really, really, really great, cool song. Melodic compared to those first two albums. I like Laughing, Just the Way You Are, There You Are. You Know What I Mean, Out of the Red. I mean, really, there's no song on this album that I don't like. And, Hey, On Your Side, Know My Name, Million Miles Away. I mean, I like every song on the album. I think it's a really good album. Even being 14 tracks, it doesn't feel too necessarily overbloated to me. But I would say that this is really the Goo Goo Dolls kind of taking that first step into the direction of them becoming the great sort of pop rock band that they became. I think they get consistently better with each album starting from this point on and up until they get to about Magnetic. And yeah, so this is really kind of the beginning of the journey. I like this album a lot. I think it's a really fun album. Hold Me Up is going to be my number 8. Number 7, Superstar Car Wash, released in 1993. And again, my only drawback on this album is I do think it's a little bloated, especially kind of down the stretch. I would have cut 2 to 3 tracks off this album, because I think this being a 10, 11, maybe even 12 song album would have been an absolute banging album. Falling Down, I love. Guitar riff, I like. Johnny for the first time is leading the album off with one of his tracks. Lucky Stars, a lot of fun. 'Cause You're Gone, Don't Worry. Girl Right Next to Me, one of my favorite tracks from this album. Dominoes, a nice hard rocker. We Are the Normal kind of was the single from this album. String of Lies. Then we kind of get to some of the songs that I would maybe kind of could do without, like Another Second Time Around. It's okay, but I don't think it really adds much to the album. Stop the World. Already There, I love. It's one of my favorite Robbie tracks. On the Lies, kind of another one that I could take or leave. And then you have Close Your Eyes, which I love a lot, and So Far Away, which I think is a good closer. So all in all, I think it's a pretty solid album. I think it could have done with 1 or 2 less tracks just to kind of tighten it up a little bit. But this is a really big step forward for the Goo Goo Dolls. Superstar Car Wash is going to come in at number 7. Number 6, Something for the Rest of Us, released in 2010. And I think that this is the first album that really kind of feels like a step backward for the band, but I still think this is a great album. Songs like Sweetest Lie, I love a lot. As I Am is really good. Not Broken is one that just sort of really hit me in the feels when it came out. I love that song a lot. Nothing Is Real. Robbie's track on here, Now I Hear, love that song. It's a great song. Really, really great melody. I saw them 4 times on this tour here, and the first time I saw them was before the album came out, and Robbie sang that song, and I just, like, it connected with me instantly live. Like, it was just such a great melodic song. I just love the way that Robbie sang the track. Good memories here in that song live. Still Your Song I like a lot. Title track's okay. Say You're Free, and I'm not a huge fan of that one from Robbie. Usually I'm a big fan of Robbie's tracks, and I look forward to them on each album, but Say You're Free, not really one of my favorites. Hey Ya, I like. And then Soldier, okay. I also found the single from this album, Home, to be sort of an underwhelming single. I was just really, I don't know, kind of expecting more. All in all, I think this is a pretty solid album. It doesn't quite live up to the albums that it followed, but still a solid album nonetheless. Superstar Car Wash is going to be my number 6. Not Superstar Car Wash, Something for the Rest of Us. Maybe I shouldn't have put those 2 albums with similar, really long titles next to each other. Breaking into the top 5, and I think really this is like elite status Goo Goo Dolls right here. Number 5, Let Love In, which I think is actually kind of underrated. A lot of people kind of consider this to be like their first real poppy album. I consider it to be Magnetic. But this album definitely does take the band in a poppier direction. But I think the songwriting is incredibly strong here. Stay With You is a great opener. The way that Johnny Resnick sings that song. And Johnny's not really like the greatest singer in the world, like pure talented singer. But he sings, whenever he sings kind of within his range and within his wheelhouse, he can deliver a really emotional performance. And that's really what makes him shine as a vocalist. And I think he shines in the song Stay With You. Let Love In, title track, another great one. Feel the Silence is decent. Better Days, another really great emotional performance from Johnny. And I think really shows how good they can do a more simplistic sort of tone back track, because it's built around, the piano, kind of reminiscent on some of the stuff they were trying on Miracle Pill, but they actually pull it off here. I think it's a nice piece of piano playing. It's noticeable, it's prominent, it's fun to listen to, as opposed to just sort of the big nothing that Miracle Pill was. Without You Here, and not really one of my favorites, but from there on, Listen, one of Robbie's tracks, love it. Give a Little Bit was a song that actually really opened my eyes up to the Goo Goo Dolls, their cover of the Supertramp classic. I found it on a YouTube video that was completely unrelated to music. I was actually looking up Star Trek videos, and they had a whoever posted or put together this video made a montage of Commander Data from the Next Generation, and when I clicked on it, it had the Goo Goo Dolls version of this song, and I really loved the song. And I had heard of the Goo Goo Dolls before. In fact, I'd even kind of vaguely was familiar with the song Stay With You, but I heard Give a Little Bit. It really caught my attention. I really loved it, and from there on, I just wound up getting more and more into the Goo Goo Dolls thanks to that cover. Can't Let It Go. I love that song a lot as well. Strange Love, I think, is another great Robbie track. Become solid album, Let Love In. So it's going to come in at number 5 for me. Number 4, I'm going to go with Gutter Flower. After the smash hits of Boy Named Goo and Dizzy Up the Girl, the Goo Goo Dolls come back with Gutter Flower. I don't think it's quite as solid as those ones, but I think the highlights are still right up there amongst some of the best work the band's ever done. Big Machine is a killer opening track. I love Think About Me a lot. What a Scene is a really cool sort of moody, almost kind of attitude-ish track. Sympathy, one of my favorite Goo Goo Dolls tracks. And then, of course, Robbie's got some great tracks on here as well with You Never Know, Up, 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 Tucked Away, and, of course, my favorite Robbie track on this album, that being Smash. Great, great, great song. So, all in all, Gutter Flower, pretty decent album. Really good album, actually, coming in at number 4 for me. Number 3, I'm going to go with Dizzy Up the Girl, released in 1998, and this is the album that has many of the band's big hit songs on it, including Slide, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite Goo Goo Dolls song, Broadway, Black Balloon, All Eyes on Me, Iris, of course, the band's probably biggest hit. And if that wasn't enough, you have sort of the more album tracks. I mean, I guess Dizzy was a single too, but you got like January Friend, one of my favorite Robbie tracks. Bulletproof is great. Am I Gone, Full Forever, Acoustic number 3, the album closer, Hate This Place. I love that track. Just top to bottom. I mean, 13 tracks on an album. I'm not usually a fan of having that many, but they're all good. They're all solid. Dizzy Up the Girl, to me, is going to be number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Goo Goo Dolls' most recent album, Chaos and Bloom. I posted a video about 10 random albums from my collection in it, and I talked about how much I love this one. But I just can't I can't overstate it. With as disappointing as I found Miracle Pill to be, as much as I didn't care for the majority of boxes, much as Magnetic was a disappointment to me, this album was totally worth the wait. Every track on here I love. Some songs, many of these songs really surprised me with how much I love them. Yeah, I Like You was the first single, and that one really grew on me. And then songs like Save Me For Myself, Let the Sun, Love and Life, Going Crazy, Day After Day. Like, that string of songs, I did not expect to love this album as much. I did not expect to love anything on this album as much as I love those tracks there. It's just, I mean, it's up there with anything off Dizzy Up the Girl or any of those other classic albums to me. And this album really just kind of impacted me. I mean, it was probably my favorite, or it was my favorite album released in 2022. And it's my second favorite Goo Goo Dolls album, and I still feel good saying that. I don't think I'm overrating it just because it's new. I mean, this album has sat with me for a few months now, and I still really love it. So Chaos and Bloom is my number 2. But I cannot quite bring myself to put it at number 1 because that honor goes to A Boy Named Goo, released in 1995, and I think this is just the pinnacle of the Goo Goo Dolls' career. Their first big hit with Name, sort of their first like acoustic-y type of a song. Great song. I love everything about Name. The other tracks, I mean, Johnny Just Shines on this album. Long Way Down is a killer opener. Naked I love a lot. Flat Top is incredible. Only One. Ain't That Unusual is one of my favorite Goo Goo Dolls deeper cuts. Eyes Wide Open. Of course, Robbie really shines on here as well. Tracks like Burn It Up and So Long are 2 of my favorites from him. Plus, you got Impersonality and Something Bad, which are pretty banging tracks as well. All in all, from top to bottom, and even the 2 covers at the end, you know, Disconnected and Slave Girl, probably being my 2 least favorite on the album. But still, I mean, I think this album is just really solid from start to finish. Love every second of it. I gotta go with The Boy Named Goo is my favorite Goo Goo Dolls album. So if this video happens to find any other Goo Goo Dolls fans out there, please let me know how you would rank the Goo Goo Dolls discography in the comments below. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I'll catch you next time.